Hello, Christine Faulkner, Elk Grove Living Trust lawyer, Sacramento estate planning attorney with Cava&Faulkner. Thanks so much for tuning into another edition of Catching Up with Christine. In honor of my road trip to see my older son tomorrow, we're traveling to Arizona. I thought I would talk about what happens to your kids if something happens to you on a road trip. We all know that in the United States, this is going to be the year of all years of road trips. And so this is a really timely message. Stay tuned if you have minor children and you plan to be on a family vacation with your family, with your kids. This is for you because you want to know what you need to do to protect your children in the event something happens to you, what to do to avoid court and conflict, and how to protect your assets if something were to happen to you. So let's get started. So because we are traveling to Arizona, our son went to Arizona State and he is turning 24 on Thursday. We're going to take a road trip. And it reminded me of a story that is a true story, quite sad, but illuminating in terms of what not to do and how you can take different actions to protect your family. So the Barber family who lived in Southern California went on a road trip with their 3 young sons and were in a pretty horrific motor vehicle accident. Both of the parents passed away and the 3 children survived. They went to CPS for a period of time and were released to the mom's sister, who felt she would be the best guardian for the children. Unfortunately, she also decided to keep the kids away from the rest of the members of the family, which, as you can imagine, becomes quite divisive and invites litigation. So during the guardianship proceedings, she felt that she would be the best guardian, not only of the children, but also of their money. She refused to allow them to see their grandmother, and the grandmother also became embroiled in that litigation. And there were many people who were vying for guardianship of the children. And so when you have minor children and both parents pass away, the children are going to come into the parents' assets. But of course, because they're minors, they cannot do that. And not only will they need a guardian of their person, literally, who will they live with, who will parent them, who will make decisions about where they go to school, how they live, but they will also need a guardian for their money, for the money that they inherit from their kids, from their parents, until they turn 18. So in this particular case, the sister felt that she was going to become the guardian of the money in addition to the children, and the court awarded her neither. But in the process, of course, they became estranged from their family because the sister refused to allow them to see the family. It became a really tense and unnecessary situation. And unfortunately, because the parents didn't have any kind of planning in place, there was no guidance as to who they would have wanted to be the guardian of their children and the guardian of their money. So ultimately, the court decided, and it wasn't the sister, it was somebody else. So the moral of the story is it's so important if you have minor children that you have a plan in place, number 1, where you've named guardians. Of course, number 2, you want to have taken control over your financial assets in such a way that your children, everything would be laid out. The people that you would want to be managing that money for your kids would actually be the people who would be doing it instead of someone that a court would appoint. And number 3, and the super important point that I didn't really direct your attention to, is the fact that those children would get everything outright when they turned 18. So the great thing about creating a plan ahead of time is that you can not only decide who would be the very best surrogate parents for your children if you were not able to do that. You could also decide on who would be the best surrogate parent for their money. Maybe that would be a different person. Maybe you would name a different guardian to manage their assets. But the best way to handle it is to create what we do, which is called kids protection planning, which is naming both long-term guardians until your children would turn 18, and really reflecting deeply on the best people that you would want to be named instead of allowing a third person, a judge, to make that decision for you. It's intensely personal. For those of us that are parents, we know just how personal that is. Really wanting to have control over the people who would raise our children if we could not be there. But so naming long-term guardians, but also naming short-term first responders in the event of an emergency, someone or people who are close to your children who could come and be with them in the hours or days before a long-term guardian could could come and take care of them if necessary in the event of death. But short-term guardians can step in even if there is an accident or a parent is hospitalized and the other parent is not available. The best of all worlds is to have both kids protection planning, to have a will where you're naming guardians in your will as well, and also having a robust estate plan, generally involving a trust where you can name a trustee who would manage the money on behalf of your kids. And the great thing is that when you create a trust, you can name at what age your child would have access to the money. And so when you have minor children, many parents are very concerned about their kids coming into money too soon. When you create a trust, you can actually decide for yourselves at what age your kids could have access to all or a portion of the money. And wouldn't that feel great to be able to know that if something did happen to you in the short term and your kids were still young, that you could actually create a plan that would encourage their growth as individuals, their growth as young adults to become and step into responsibility before they received a huge windfall, which could potentially stunt their growth, their educational growth, their monetary growth, right? Their ability to learn how to manage money, and also have a little skin in the game. So some important things to think about. How important is it to you as a parent that you make sure that you are always protecting your kids into the future no matter what? Even if you're not here to do it, that you've created a really solid prep plan around that to leave no stone unturned to make sure that they are protected by and would be raised by the people that you want in the way that you want and wouldn't get the assets that you leave for them too soon. We're here to help. If this is a concern for you, please reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you, and we are happy to talk to you about what we might be able to do for your family. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos. Let us know what you'd like to hear about, and I'll be happy to create some content around that. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.